All right. Okay, we are live. Live on Telegram, live on X. And I'm just going to get PumpFun running as well. Share screen. Perfect. There we go. That's live. Confirm X is definitely running, but let me just confirm. There, this one, yeah, so it should be live by now. There we go, it's live. And PumpFun is the last one for me to sort. Let me just get that streaming as well, and then we'll begin. Not quite, that didn't work. Okay. Try again. There we go. And this is UpScalp day 18. Day 18 of building in public. For the PumpFun Hackathon. Just want to do this right because then it definitely missed recording a few days in PumpFun. So hopefully let's get that going properly with the right title. And let's see, are we live everywhere? No. Okay, it's still not live in PumpFun, but that's okay. Welcome everybody. So we're back for another live stream. Okay, that's very confusing. I'm gonna change from that screen because it's doing an endless thing there. Back for day 18 of live streaming. So yeah, really getting into it now at this point. Really getting far into it. And should it be live in PumpFun now in a second? Hopefully. Yeah, there we go. We're live on all channels. So we're live 3 channels at the same time as we do it every time. Live on PumpFun, live on X, and live on VC in our Telegram group also. So if you want to actually join in and have a discussion with us, it's definitely Telegram is the place to go. So the Telegram portal is t.me/UpScalp portal. UpScalp portal. That's the way to find us. So that you could actually join in the VC there and ask questions live on air if you felt like it. But this is day 18. This is the live stream that we're doing every day, discussing building UpScalp in public as part of the PumpFun Hackathon. Again, I'm keeping an eye on just the whole environment of the hackathon itself. And something that I was talking about yesterday live on stream has come true for sure. Is I did notice that Bird's Eye Data had said that they would support the top 12 entrants in the PumpFun Hackathon. So the 12 winners, they were offering them $50,000 each of infrastructure funds or infrastructure grants to use on Bird's Eye Data. And I predicted that we'd probably see a lot more of that kind of thing because, again, the PumpFun Hackathon is definitely the biggest one that I've seen and definitely the one that's captured the imagination the best. Had a load of entrants. There must have been 300 or 400 projects entered, as far as I could tell, and some very high visibility ones at the minute. So some of the projects have done very well, like Juice, for example. So other companies then looking at that and seeing how they can be part of it too is very likely, and it's already started to take place. So Bird's Eye Data, for example, today actually made a second version of that. So anyone beyond the 12 winners can now apply as well for additional funds, infrastructure funds. So that was an interesting development, and I think we'll see a lot more than that happen over the next few weeks, especially as more and more winners get announced. I think we'll see basically companies latching on to the success of PumpFun with it and seeing what they can offer to the winners and to the entrants of the PumpFun Hackathon too. It's good, very good for us. So I, of course, have contacted them immediately. I'm going to put in a application form to Bird's Eye Data and yeah, try and get some of that infrastructure funds for us, or infrastructure resources, because definitely for the product 4, which is going to be a spot product, their data would be very useful for this product. So I'm looking at that. I'm going to put in an entry for that, and let's see how we get on, because yeah, it would really suit a product like UpScalp. the particular data that they provide would be very, very useful for us. Okay, apart from that, just like keeping an eye and seeing what else is going on. Obviously, the OpenAI backlash is the biggest talking point in AI on X and in other platforms at the minute. We saw Sam Altman try to do a walk some of it back, very, very unsuccessfully. So within 24 hours of the initial announcement of that Department of War contract, subscriptions for OpenAI for ChatGPT were down 300%. So it was pretty astonishing. And Anthropic, who make Claude, Claude Opus 4.6 is the model that I use a lot, took full advantage of it. It was pretty great marketing. They released a very, very simple feature that just helps you to transfer your conversations from ChatGPT to Claude instead. It's really nothing. It's like a copy paste. It's just basically a prompt to your ChatGPT to make a synopsis of the conversation for Claude, and then you paste that back into Claude again. It's so simple, but it got so many people talking because it was perfect timing. The dichotomy, the contrast between the two companies is just unreal at the minute. The way Anthropic said that we're not going to have this contract with the Department of War, how Trump instantly ordered more or less that all of the US public service would stop using Claude, how initially Sam Altman supported the decision of Claude, of Anthropic rather, and then literally the very next day accepted the same contract that Anthropic rejected. Yeah, so Anthropic again, more often than not, have shown that they're a marketing force, much more skilled at marketing and especially at taking advantage of current events than OpenAI are, and I think we're going to see a lot more of things like that. So at the minute, just why that's relevant to UpScalp is I do use Codex a lot. I use a mix of Codex 5.3, GPT 5.3, and I'm using Opus 4.6 in Google Anti-Gravity as well. So I do use the two, but I did cancel my subscription because totally agree with people who are in that 300% down user base that have cancelled in within say like the 24 hours initially, and I'm sure it's dropped more. I do think it's ridiculous, and I think just from speaking to AI researchers and people who work in that field, how incredibly unethical and dangerous it is to start pairing AI with war, basically, with mass surveillance of people. Again, it just goes so far beyond what's safe, considering effectively the inner workings of AIs we don't really understand, and I don't think enough people realize that or understand how we've built these things that are so vast and so immense that we don't actually fully understand the complex interactions within them and how they work. And there's been some great progress in that only recently, like just because of how I'm building this product. My X feed is always full of AI research, and there has been some progress on being able to categorize and develop maps of how AIs are internally processing things, how the internal elements of it relate to each other and how they work. But genuinely, there's a lot of aspects that we don't understand. And combining that then with very unethical practices with mass surveillance and potentially involving them in war, which I think the US did in Venezuela and probably in Iran, is just such a dangerous combination. It just blows my mind. And I think if more people realized how dangerous it is, we'd probably see much stronger protests even than what we've seen. But what has happened so far is good. I think I don't for a minute believe any of OpenAI's claims about strengthening the contract or walking back elements of it. I think it's all lies, to be perfectly honest. Sam Altman is a marketer, I think, more than anything else. And you can just see from the exodus of staff, there are people leaving in the last few days, where the reality of that company is. So in the background, there's another wave of staff leaving OpenAI, going to Google, going to Anthropic instead. Again, as I was saying, my X feed is full of this, so I see it constantly just because I use agentic development. I use AI to help me build my tools, and it's built into it as well, especially in the logging and the assessment of the data that UpScalp generates. So yeah, very, very interesting times. So for me, then, I'm going to have to adjust. It will be a big change, I guess, to lose access to Codex, because I'm doing a very popular technique at the minute where when I'm working on a certain problem, I'm not trusting one AI or one model to handle the problem. The most effective way, definitely, that I've seen is bouncing between 2 and even 3. So you're building a network, which is what I have. I have like seven different agents. So an agent basically is just like an AI, one instance of it. So I have 7 agents. I've delegated them to do certain tasks. I've created role specifications for them, like basically, here's your job, this is your role description, this is who you are. Like I've got 2 senior developer profiles in Codex, 1 in Claude. I have QA roles, senior QA, which is quality assurance, in both products as well. I have researchers in both products. I made a voice of the customer product earlier on, which I'm not using that much anymore. But the idea is that I gave it a persona, described a persona for it to imagine an aggressive user, basically someone who was constantly unhappy with the product and demanded more. And it was very useful at the beginning when I didn't have beta testers. But now with our UpScalp Premium holders group, I get plenty of actual human feedback, real feedback, which is brilliant, which I'm going to talk about in a few minutes. How helpful that was today. So because I'm going to be losing Codex, I'm going to lose an element of that agentic team that I have, and that technique of not trusting one AI model, bouncing it between different AIs, that you find that they look for different things and they isolate different issues in each other's work. So it's a very powerful technique. It's worked so incredibly well for me. So yeah, I'm going to have to adjust to that. I may have to look at some other models, like in the world of AI, in the public imagination, there's OpenAI and there's Anthropic, there's ChatGPT and there's Claude. But beyond that, there's so much more. Not quite as famous, not quite as big a reputation or visibility, but definitely competitive and definitely catching up with the other 2 big players. So yeah, I'm going to have to look for other ways to do this, because it accelerated how I work so much, having access to these AI agents and being able to build this little team of seven AI agents that help me build as a solo developer. It's just been incredible. So I don't really want to lose that, so I will have to find something to replace Codex. But what was so good about Codex was it's very boring, it's very dull. It is like a very boring, very dedicated developer, especially someone very, very focused on quality and perfectionism. Whereas a lot of the other AI models like Claude, they're more creative. They can think outside the box a bit more, but then that also means that they hallucinate more, they make mistakes, and they're less thorough. So I've been finding it's worked really, really well to get Claude to do the research parts or the more abstract parts, and then handing over to Codex to do the more rigorous elements, like quality assurance checks of code, quality assurance checks of implementation plans, and developing the actual code as well. So like helping me out on that side too. So yeah, I'm going to have to fill that gap, but that's the reality where we are. I think it's a good thing to vote with your feet, vote with your money in this case, and to show OpenAI that people reject the way that they've gone, reject the choices that they've made, and how unethical they believe they are. So I cancelled it about 4 days ago, and we'll see where we go from there. So that's where I'm at with the AI development. What I wanted to do, the main topic today I wanted to jump into, is just to, I'm going to use our Jira board as reference, just to show the power of having access to people who want to give you feedback. I come from the field of product development, and I've been working in various types of product development for over 20 years. Very, very different industries. Some were very, very physical, very hands-on manufacturing, and where your testing was very physical as well. But say like the majority for the last 15 years have been software companies building software as a service, in other words, cloud products. And I've seen how the power of consumer feedback, of your customer feedback, your user feedback, how that's just grown and grown and grown, how the tools for accessing it have grown, how the philosophies behind using it have grown. And we're at a stage now where it's just it's universal, and if you're a company who doesn't listen to your users, you fail, and that's become a fundamental truth. So I apply all that to UpScalp as well, and I make sure that I'm building this as a user myself primarily. So I use the product a lot, but then very early on, say like it's 3 months ago, I asked people in Telegram groups that I trust, who I know are futures traders, to join and to test for me. I was looking for volunteers basically, and I got 5 people. And that early information, that early feedback was so critical to the development of the product, and so helpful, because they may have a different style of trading to me. They may have a different way of absorbing information to me. They have a different way of reading even, so they read things in a different way to me. And it's so, so valuable. So now with UpScalp at the minute, when you hold 5 million tokens, or 0.5% of supply, you get access to UpScalp Premium. Again, I'm going to refer to the website for this. So let's just go down to the products. So UpScalp Premium is the main product at the minute. There is a light version, but it only has 30% of the signals that the premium version gets. So for 5 million tokens, you get access to the premium bot, but you also get access to the premium holders group in Telegram. And this is where we have very much so a two-way dialogue, a conversation on the product. People give me feedback about how they're using it, how they're finding the product, how useful it is, how not useful, things that they would like me to do differently, and also when they have issues. And that was the main thing I want to talk about today. That's where the power of listening to your users, recognizing how helpful they can be, how important they are to development. Today was a big lesson on that for me, and I'm delighted to be able to share it. So basically, I was working on, let me find, where is it? I was working on, way down the list now, this task here. So the signal delivery pipeline is basically how we get from detecting a candidate signal, processing it, and delivering it to you, like the end result, if it's an approved, if it's a good signal, delivering it to your phone, basically. And I built, say, what we call an MVP version, which is minimal viable product. What that means is it works. It's not very fancy, it's not very polished, but it works. So I built a delivery system for me and the original beta testers that was fine when there was only 6 people using it. But as we scaled up and as we get more users, it really wasn't fine, because it was working in a very linear fashion. So basically it would send, when I detect a signal and I process it and score it, and we say this is a good signal, okay, we're going to send that out to all the users, it was doing it one by one, like user by user, which is really inefficient. And then as our user base grows, as we have more and more people in as premium holders, that gets very, very untenable. That is just not practical anymore. Especially if you imagine, if you were the last person in that list, potentially you're getting the signal to your phone a lot later than the first person on that list. And that issue only grows as the number of users grows. So basically I had developed a plan for this. I broke it into phase 1 and phase 2, where I was separating out the scanning and the quality scoring from the delivery part. And I built it in such a way that as our user base grows, I can just make multiples of this sending system. I can just duplicate the entire sending system, and that will keep the delivery of the signals really fast to all users, no matter what the size of the user base is. So this is it was a big change, but I made a mistake in it. There was a flaw in my plan, and this is where having access to users who are confident enough to say what they're thinking, to give you honest feedback, and to tell you when something is wrong is so incredible and is so helpful. So I've been working with a few of the users over the last few days because they noticed that they weren't receiving signals. And at first it was say one person, then there might be another. But then as it was like a third person, I was realizing, oh, this is something systemic. Something is going wrong here that's not intentional. It's not just to do with their phone or the settings that they've chosen in UpScalp Premium. This is to do with something in the system itself. So once I realized that this morning, finding the fix was pretty quick because I was able to come up with a theory for what was going wrong very quickly. I was able to get to work on it, investigating it, and it was right. Like it was just something obvious that unfortunately I missed in my planning. And so because of the contributions of the community, we were able to discover this issue. We were able to find a resolution for it, and then I was able to test it one on one. Like I was sending DMs to people to make sure that it was working for them this morning, and it was great. It worked, and those people are getting their signals now. But this is something, if I was anonymous, if I wasn't doing live streams every day, if I wasn't active in my community, and if we didn't have this premium holders group where again people can talk to me about their experiences of using it, I probably wouldn't have found this issue. That's the fundamental lesson in this. I never would have known. And what would happen is, I'm sure of it because I've seen it with other products, people would just stop using it. They would just say, not working, can't be bothered. And they would stop using it. So this is where having such a close connection to your users is so important, because otherwise you're going to miss out. You're going to miss out on so much that gives value to your users. You're going to miss out on finding the issues that you as the developer don't see, or maybe even your beta testers don't see. But once your user base grows and different configurations, different phones, different laptops, different products, different internet providers, when you have those combinations that you just cannot invent tests for, it's not possible. It's such a random group of parameters that you can't really test for it. You can only test for those kind of things when it's live in production. So having access to people who will speak to me about those things is just amazing. And I'm so thankful to the people who helped me discover these issues, who had the patience with me to let me fix it for them, because I understand how frustrating it can be when something is meant to work and it's not working. So again, I say a lot of thanks to them for their patience in continuing to give me feedback and continuing to give me time to get the fix in, so that I could do it. And I'm delighted. If anyone has any other feedback for me, I'm always available on X. It's just at UpScalp, or in Telegram, it's t.me/UpScalp portal. I'm delighted to hear feedback. So when people have feedback, I want it. Tell me your feedback. We've already added 3 items to the backlog here this week from feedback, directly from feedback. So my issue at the minute is just finding the time to do it. I actually need to add one more here, which was marketing. This is again from feedback from the group. Add UpScalp to token tracker platforms. Yeah, so I need to do that one. Apart from that, just to give feedback about what else I'm working on. It's all API bot at the minute. I have been looking at, we're in rare market conditions at the minute, and I shared a tweet in the Telegram group today to show that this is not just us as UpScalp users facing it. I'm seeing a lot of people tweeting about the smart move right now is to stop trading. Conditions are bad, it's choppy, it's very unpredictable, very volatile, and right now your best option may be holding on to your money. And I've definitely seen it in UpScalp. There's a lot of warnings in the bot each day, a lot of notifications about the dangers of trading at the minute. But all the same, this also always presents an opportunity. So I've been really working hard on seeing if there's any edges to exploit even in these bad conditions. So that's primarily been my major task that I've been working on. And then connected to that, very closely connected to that, is the API bot as well, looking for ways to make trades. So I actually found some last night. It wasn't easy. It took an enormous amount of work, and I'm exhausted today, to be perfectly honest. I'm very tired. But I did have some winning trades last night on the API bot, and it was all through this work of looking for very small edges within terrible conditions. There isn't really any other way to put it than that. Conditions are very poor. I did see there was a notification about half an hour ago that said that conditions are starting to improve and we should see higher quality signals in the UpScalp bot soon. But it was definitely, you have to take advantage of these opportunities when they come. When there's a market like this that the bot is struggling in, that it's actually not firing a lot of high quality signals or sending a lot of warnings saying sentiment is red. That's the most common warning that the bot has been sending. And it's also been saying that BTC is extremely volatile right now. Yeah, which just makes it so much harder to have successful trades. When that is happening, definitely it's an opportunity. So that's the way I've been looking at it. It just means, obviously, then I have to do education or explaining to the community, which is fine. This is part of it too, about like why this is actually the bot working as it's supposed to. So it's not delivering hundreds of trades every day. It's delivering warnings saying that you shouldn't be trading right now. And that is part of UpScalp's value too. Like that tweet that I shared earlier on in our Telegram group, sometimes the smart move is not trading. And that just happens. That's how it goes in the market sometimes. And the biggest mistake that people make in that scenario is they don't want to stop. They want to keep trading. Unfortunately, that leads to losses. That's just how it is. And you'll find that as traders get more experienced, and when they're very, very experienced, they know when not to trade, and they know when it's better to just sit, to wait for better conditions. And then you still have your money, like you haven't lost all your money when the better conditions come. So it's optimizing your trading behavior for better conditions, and making sure that you don't trade in poor conditions. So this is the lesson that UpScalp can learn for you, basically. So this is what I've built into it. Spent an awful lot of time researching this, best practices about it, hours and hours and hours in academic journals around around futures trading, discovering the principles behind it, strategies behind it, best practice behind it, and so on, to build it into the bot so that it helps you be smarter about your trading, basically. So it's been a long journey, but I definitely think it is absolutely critical to a product like this. You can have your headlines of the big wins, etc., but without protecting people's money when really there are no trades, when the market is so poor that there aren't any setups or opportunities. It's so important for a product like UpScalp to protect people in those conditions too. So that's where I'm at with that. Like, I am trying to find the edges, but I am making sure that at the same time I don't weaken the risk gating, the risk framing that UpScalp has. So yeah, we'll see where that goes. If conditions continue to improve, then we're probably going to get out of this period and the bot will go back to green again. It'll go back to stop firing those notifications that warn you about trading. And instead we'll just get loads of really, really good signals. And I'll have to wait till the next time again when the market does this to do some more testing on these conditions. Because again, unfortunately, this is the kind of thing that you can't fake. You cannot fake these conditions. You cannot fake this kind of testing. So just when it comes, you have to take full advantage. Grant, so that's where I'm at today. Oh, wow, that's half an hour of an update. Okay, pretty good though. I'm very, very happy with the work, even though it was a real grind the last 48 hours. Like, this is difficult work. This is really precise. This is consuming enormous amounts of data and then testing. So I'm pretty tired today, but it's worth it. Definitely see how it comes out in the bot and how it actually improves the performance of it. And again, as I was saying, it's rare. You have to jump at these opportunities when they come. So I'm delighted with it. But yeah, I am looking forward to times being easier. I hope we get conditions where the bot is just like firing loads of high quality trades all of the time, because the setup of the market itself is better. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. If not, I'll continue to refine and find more edges for us. Christian, thank you very much. Say thanks for your great work. Really appreciate it. Thank you for listening in. Let's just see if there are any questions on Telegram. I'm in the wrong group. There aren't. Okay, no questions there. Premium holders group. Nope. I'm just going to check on PumpFun, see if there are any questions. No questions today. Okay. So just because I'm pretty tired, I think I'll probably leave it at that. I need to take my dogs for a walk as well, or they're going to be very angry with me, very, very upset. Before the sun disappears here, I need to take them out. So as always, I say thank you very, very much for listening in. I really, really appreciate it. Please feel free to give me feedback anytime. I'm very, very open to feedback. And depending on how busy I am, you may see your feedback within the bot very, very quickly. If I can, when I get user feedback, I try to implement it very, very quickly. So we'll be back tomorrow again at this time. It'll be 1700 UTC, I would say. I might do a poll later on X or on Telegram to see what times would suit people best if this time is not good, because I do it at this time every day, but maybe there's a better time. But regardless, I'll be here tomorrow. I'll be building a public and I'll be explaining what progress I've made in the past 24 hours. So fingers crossed. See you again tomorrow. Thanks for listening in and talk to you then.